All right, so we have Asbury, who is a very large automotive group that is having to defend themselves against the FTC right now. And we see that this is an example of the FTC really leaning into this CARS Act, which is supposed to stop dealers from doing a lot of shady things that consumers have been used to, really getting the short end of the stick against these dealers for a very, very long time. And this is the kind of scenario that we have to see play out from the FTC if we really want this CARS Act to make a difference for the consumer. You need to have big dealership groups just like Asbury really being made an example of for the FTC to be able to make a difference and to have dealerships actually change their ways. So here we go. It says Asbury vows vigorous defense against the FTC complaint alleging customer deception and discriminatory pricing. So what really they're talking about here is that the FTC is alleging that Asbury Group was payment packing. They were adding finance and insurance projects to deals without consumer knowledge and charging Black and Latino customers more than white ones. Now, this discrimination part of this ordeal is huge. So I get a lot of questions about surrounding like doc fees, and then we're not specifically talking about doc fees in this. Is more of the F&I products that the complaint is looking into. But I want to bring up a doc fee because that's one of the more common fees that you're going to see. That's a fee that almost every customer that goes into a dealership they're going to have to pay. And I say almost all. I would say pretty much all. Now at my dealership, I'm a used car dealer. We don't charge a doc fee, and we don't charge a doc fee to any customer. So there's not going to be any kind of discrimination thing. But what I've heard from a lot of questions asking me is that okay? Well, do you have to pay a doc fee because I'm going into this dealership, and this dealership says that okay, I have to charge you a doc fee. It's against the law for us not to charge a doc fee, and that's not true. There's no law out there that says that a dealership has to charge a doc fee. But here's the thing, because when I get asked this question, I say, well, the answer is no, they don't have to charge a doc fee, but the answer is also yes. So if a dealership charges a doc fee to one consumer and doesn't charge it to another consumer, then they open themselves up to discrimination suits. And this is why you'll hear from dealerships. If you ever ask them, will say, do I have to pay this doc fee? And they'll say, no, I absolutely have to charge you this. It's in our rules, whatever. We have to, if we charge it to you, we have to charge it to every customer, and we've charged it to another customer, so we have to charge it to you. And a lot of times what dealerships will do to get around someone who doesn't want to pay the doc fee is that they'll just take the amount that doc fee was going to be charged that customer off the price of the car. And in a sense, to the customer, it means the same thing, but on paper it still shows that they're charging that customer a doc fee. So here's where I'm going with this. It's in it that these dealerships have to do this with a doc fee, but it seems like that's the only fee that they actually lean into that can open them up to discrimination, or what they believe to be open them up with the discrimination. But think about their other fees. They have nitrogen, they have clear coat, they have all your financing, your F&I products, a lot of fees associated with that. That's okay. Then they charge it to some customers, and some customers get them off. I'll give you an example. I went and we bought a brand new Honda, an Odyssey van for my wife at a new Honda dealership, and they had a lot of add-ons, a lot of fees. It was like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of fees. And when we went in there to negotiate, obviously we got all of those knocked off. Now they didn't knock off all of those fees on the off the price of the van. Literally the line items when we went to go purchase, they disappeared. So in my estimation, a lot of these fees, they don't have a lot of benefits. And one of the fees that the CARS Act specifically talks about is nitrogen, because there's not really any sizable benefit that you can measure that's for the customer when they're actually paying this. So this is one of the fees they pick out. Now, what I am curious to see how this plays out is if they throw that in the same kind of basket as like a dock fee. Because obviously you can a dealership can say, okay, well, the benefit of the dock fee is that the dealership has to fill out the actual paperwork. But if they're charging that fee to one customer, they have to charge it to all. Well, let's go to the nitrogen side of things. Well, the dealership can argue that nitrogen does whatever magical thing that nitrogen does in your tires and say, well, we're charging it to this one customer, but now we have to charge it to all the customers because it opens them up to this discrimination thing. And this is where I'm getting here with just giving the example of the dock fee versus all these other junk fees, in my opinion, and why dealerships can say, okay, say to the customer that, okay, we charge dock fee to one person, we got to charge it to all. Why are we not leaning into that with every other fee? Anyway, just bringing that up. But let's get back to this. So the FTC will continue. This is a quote from the FTC. The FTC will continue to crack down on illegal hidden fees and discrimination, which have no place at car dealerships. And this is from the director. And if you're wanting the consumer experience to be better from car dealers from here on out, you really want to root for this FTC director, because this Cars Act is something that they're really trying to crack down on a lot of these dealerships. I don't have a lot of faith. I don't have a lot of faith that things are going to get done, but this is a good sign that they're actually trying to make an example of some of these dealerships, especially when they're going after some of these bigger dealership groups to try to make an example of them, and then that's going to filter down to some of these smaller dealerships because they really some of these complaints they're not going to be able to stomach them. A big group, whatever, a little fine, whatever, it's going to be no problem. But some of these mom and pop franchise dealerships, if they're trying to gouge customer and they're trying to operate in the wrong way, the FTC is able to crack down on them. It really could actually change the way the marketplace looks. But I'll go on to what they said. Like the combating auto retail scams, the cars rule. Today's action underscores our commitment to protecting customers, shopping for cars, and leveling the playing field for honest dealers. And this is one thing that I think is good for some dealers coming out of Cars Act. There's a lot of pushback about this Cars Act from dealers. But there's going to be some dealers that really welcome the Cars Act, because if they're doing the right things, if they're not trying to gouge their customers, if they're not adding on a lot of junk fees, if they're advertising their cars for what they actually want to sell them for, this is the perfect thing for dealerships, because that's going to start raising them to the top. You think about just advertising. This is one thing that drives me crazy in the car market right now, is that when you go to look at a car online, it can be advertised for $25,000. But when you get to the dealership, after their add-ons, after all their dock fees, everything like that, you could end up paying $31,000 for that car. But they don't tack on any of that stuff when they're advertising the car, because obviously they want you to come in their doors. And if they get you into their doors, they feel like they can whisper these sweet nothings, everything that they need to say to you to be able to get you in that car, even though you're paying an extra $5,000-$6,000. And the reason why they do this kind of deceptive advertising is because they want to have priority placement with car gurus, with any kind of car search that you're actually using to be able to find your car. We know that most people right now, they find their cars online, and that's how they shop. So if a customer is looking for a particular car, then they're going to gravitate to the one that's the best price. And this is how dealerships get around that. If they they just add some kind of junk fee that they are legally able to add on right now, but the FTC is trying trying to change this. So, Asbury, what their response was is that they rejected the false and unfounded allegations, and the three dealerships that were that were involved with this, they said that they sold F&I products without customer authorization and discriminated against minorities. Now, the discrimination thing is the biggest thing to this. And Asbury said that it vowed to contest the FTC's lawsuit alleging violations related to the sale of what the FTC calls add-on products, and will defend the dealership's sales practices. So it's going to be a big thing for this dealership to really win this case. It's going to be big for just dealerships that are trying to price pack or whatever they're trying to add on in the F&I office. Because if Asbury loses this case, then these products, I mean, we're already going to see that this is going to hold up in court once. So it's going to continue to hold up in court as the FTC finds more violations. So if you're a consumer, you're probably really wanting the FTC to win this case. And if you're a dealership that wants to add on fees that may not be beneficial to the consumer, you're probably wanting Asbury to win this. So here's the biggest thing. And I've got my little notes pulled up to the side here. That's why I'm looking to the side and reading them off. But the release from the FTC accused the dealership of charging black customers $298 more than white customers, and charging Latinos $214 more than white customers for the same items added to auto deals. So if the FTC has proof of this from consumers seeing that on average, a black customer or a Latino customer is paying more than a white customer, this is a big deal. And I go back to the beginning of this video when I was talking about discrimination with the doc fees. This is a no-no. You can't do this. This is not just a problem with the FTC. This is a big legal matter where the consumers can now actually go after this dealership because this dealership treated them unfairly because of the color of their skin, because of who they were. And that is a big no-no in business. You cannot do this. So the agency also accused the stores of payment packing. When the customer agrees to a larger monthly payment than what's needed to buy the car, and the dealership fills up the difference with charges like F&I products. So this is one of the things that we were looking at the beginning, saying what they were actually adding. So when a customer comes in and says, "I have to get my payment at this amount," and what a dealership can do at that point is, if, okay, they only needed to have a $400 monthly payment, but the customer comes in and says that they need a $500 monthly payment, the dealership, out of the goodness of their heart, is not going to say, "Okay, well, you know what? We can get you in at 400 instead of 500. If it's a good dealership, maybe they'll go that route. But what it's probably going to happen, and what the FTC is accusing the Asbury Group of doing in this situation, is that dealership was finding more products or whatever to fill up that payment, to pack that payment, to get it from $400 to that $500 desired payment of that customer, and that customer really not knowing they could have actually gotten a cheaper monthly payment. That's shady. That's a big problem. I hope this Asbury Group did not do that. But if they did, that's a big time problem. That's deception at its finest. That is really trying to just really pull one over on your consumer and getting a lot of these products. And keep in mind, these products are the highest margin products that these dealerships are able to sell. So if they have the opportunity to do something like this, then it's low hanging fruit for the sales staff, for the F&I sales part of it, to be able to go in and grab this if a consumer is none the wiser. And this is what the FTC is trying to protect consumers against. And right here, finally, the FTC said that the dealerships also added F&I products without consumer knowledge. They pretended optional add-on charges were mandatory, and inserted products the customer had declined. So the FTC is also saying here that Asbury's sales and finance process made it difficult, if not impossible, for consumers to know they were being charged for these add-ons, with consumers being asked to sign documents on electronic devices that showed only the places where they should sign and not the full documents. So I can tell you with us recently buying this van, when we went in there, they have this massive, if you bought a new car recently, you probably had the same experience, but they have this massive, massive board that you sign. You don't go in there and sign actual paper documents anymore. There is this massive electronic board, your e-sign and everything. And what you have in front of you, you have a 75-inch TV laying flat, and it is completely filled with words. All the documents are just across this that you have to agree to, and the font is about this small, and there's got to be 5, 6 pages worth of information on this one board that you're actually signing. Obviously, nobody is going to dissect this document when they're signing it. And I mean, it's on the fault of the consumer. You should know what you're signing, but the document is just so complex. I see what they're absolutely saying here. It's impossible for you to know exactly what you're signing. That's why the F&I manager right there that is telling you what you're signing. A customer is just going to listen to what they are saying and going to agree to that and sign it. There's no way you can, if you had to dissect exactly what you were signing for buying one of these vehicles, you would be there for days trying to go through this doc, and you would probably need a lawyer to explain it to you while you're actually going through and signing it. So the FTC said it surveyed customers of 3 Asbury dealerships and found as many as 75% of customers reported that they were charged for add-on products and services they did not authorize or were falsely told were required. This is a big deal for what 3 out of 4 customers that they talked to after the purchase from this dealership group said that, okay, I was charged something I didn't even know I was supposed to pay for, and didn't know I didn't have to pay for it. So what's going to happen in this case is that you're going to have probably some people be fired. The dealership group is going to throw it down to their employees, saying, "Okay, well, they were acting dishonestly. They were trying to sell products that they made extra money on, made extra commissions on, and they were doing it deceptively. This is not how we teach our employees how to operate. This is not what our training says." That's what the dealership is probably is going to come from the dealership. FTC probably going to slap a little fine on them. They're going to pay it, and nothing's really going to happen to it. In my opinion, that's probably what's going to happen. I hope that's not the case. I hope we actually get some change. I hope that the FTC is able to use this case, win it, if they need to win it. Obviously, whatever happened, I hope the right outcome comes out of it. But if they are to win this, then I hope this is going to be just the first of many cases that comes out to be able to really just clamp down on a lot of these fees, a lot of discrimination that's happening, a lot of the shady stuff that's going on at dealerships. Transparency is something that does not exist in this marketplace right now, and I'm wanting the director of the FTC. I'm wanting him to win this battle against a lot of these dealerships because I do think this industry needs change, and it's not going to happen unless some of these dealerships actually get there's some accountability on the dealership side, and like I said earlier, I have little to no faith in the FTC to be able to make any changes, but I'm rooting for them.